So, hello everyone. My name is Sammy. I am the Events and Education Coordinator here at Goosefoot. So, I teach all of these classes. I run all of our social media sites. I really get to work one-on-one with some of our businesses. So, I really enjoy that opportunity. And it's nice to be able to continue sharing that information for you guys at a time where you really need to pivot online, but you just can't get the in-person help. So, thank you guys so much for joining me. I see a lot of familiar names, a couple ones I don't recognize. If you have never been to a Zoom webinar, it's a little different than a meeting. I cannot hear or see you. Your mic and your camera are not active. You can only hear and see me. So your only way to interact with me is by using the chat or the question and answer feature. As it says here on the screen, please make sure you change your to all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see what you're saying, not just me. It's a great place to talk to one another and me as well. I will be keeping an eye on the chat and the question and answers so that I can answer your questions throughout this. Feel free to put your question into either. I'm keeping an eye on both equally, so whatever makes you more comfortable. And again, please ask questions at any time. I'm happy to go into some of the social media sites and pull up how it actually functions. So if you guys want to look at something, you have a slightly more in-depth question than I have here. We only have 45 minutes, but that 45 minutes is your guys' time. So please ask all the questions you have. So on that note, I'll go ahead and get started. So straight up, some basic tips for you guys as you are looking at advertising on social media. Social media advertising is different than every other kind of advertising, where usually with print or television or flyers or anything, whoever you're buying the ad from tells you it's going to cost this much and it's going to go out to this many people, and you go, okay. With social media, though, you have so much more control and input into how your ad looks. You can set up how you want it to look. You can set up who you want it to reach based on age, location, and interests, or even based off of your own personal client list. You can set how long you want it to run. You can do it as little as one day. You can have it ongoing so that it never ends. It's your choice. And you can also set your budget. So unlike every other form of advertising where, an ad in the newspaper costs $75, with social media advertising, you tell them, I want to spend as little as $5, or there's really no upper cap. So as much as you feel like spending. And again, you can say how many days. So I want, $5 for a single day, or I want $50 for the week. Whatever makes sense for you, whatever you have in your budget, and whatever will help you reach your customers, that's what you can do with social media ads. The biggest thing to keep in mind when you're looking at advertising on social media is show the right content to the right audiences in the right places. Social media is not television. You're not broadcasting to everybody in general. You have these fine, important controls that you can really narrow in on who you want to talk to. You can get as specific as, I want parents with kids 3 and under in the Oak Harbor area that are, between the ages of 20 and 35. You can get super specific. So if you don't use those tools, you're really, wasting some of your money. You're reaching people who are never going to be customers of you. So it takes time to actually look into who is your current customer base, who is, your most profitable customer base, the people most likely to respond to your ad, and really focus in on those people. And I'll show you guys how to do that in later slides. Quality graphics and words is everything with an ad, because when somebody's scrolling through social media and your ad pops up on their feed, they may have never heard of you before. They have no idea what your reputation is. They don't get all of the visual cues that they might when they walk into your business, like how's it laid out? What's the color palette? How clean is it? all they have is what is on the screen in front of them. So therefore, that needs to be incredibly punchy and very eye-catching and appealing. So, with ads, don't just slap them up. Take time to consider, is this the very best picture I could use for this? Do my words say what I need them to say in, and this is important, as short a space as possible? People don't tend to read really long things on social media. They want that quick, punchy, 40 words or less description. So can you get what you need to get out in a short amount of words? Obviously, you can make ads with longer, but Facebook especially straight up advocates for you to use less words. You can post longer words, but they actually yellow out all of the characters after where they recommend you stop talking. So keep it short, keep it punchy, keep it high quality. The only way to get really good at social media ads is to experiment with what you're doing and what you're posting, track the results, and again, social media, way more than any other kind of advertising, lets you really track how many people's feeds did this go on, how many people actually clicked on it, how many people actually completed the action I wanted them to complete. You get data on all of that. So look at it and use it to revise. If people are, clicking on your ad, but they're not completing the action, take some time to think, why? What am I doing wrong? Is a page broken? Does my ad not accurately reflect the product? Where am I losing people? And use that information to revise your approach for later ads. You need to move beyond the ease of the boost button. Most newbies to advertising, you've seen the little boost this post on Instagram or on Facebook, on your own feed. That is obviously the easiest way to set up an ad, and it's a lot of what we're going to look at today just because it's so quick and easy, and you can absolutely use that tool. But if you actually get into the advertising tools through business.facebook.com, there are so many more tools. You can set up a lot of different kinds of ads rather than just boosting a post. You can set something up specifically as an ad. You can, run test campaigns. You can see how it looks for different kinds of people. You can set up audiences in a lot of different ways. So take a look at the business section of Facebook. They have a lot of tools for you that aren't immediately obvious on the surface level of just boosting a post. With all advertising, but especially social media, have a plan. It's so easy to click that boost button, but what do you actually want to happen? Think about that. Where are people going to go to complete the thing? If your ad is selling this scarf you have in your store, people can't come to your store right now. We're all in quarantine. So what do you actually want them to do? Do you want them to share the post? Do you want them to keep it in their mind so that they can buy it later? Or do you have an e-commerce store where they could go buy it? Or do they need to email you or call you and work with you directly to buy the thing? The more complicated you make something, the less likely people are to complete it. So you need to decide in advance, what do I want them to do? And am I giving them the tools to do so? Uh, Plot it out of, where do I start? What happens next? Where do I end? Keep that in mind. And then also have it as part of your overall strategy. One of the issues I run into with a lot of businesses is, because it's so easy, they'll just do it sporadically when it occurs to them, of like, oh yeah, I should run a Facebook ad. But it doesn't tie in with your overall marketing strategy. You might be talking about things that are direct contradiction to stuff you've mentioned before. You might confuse your audience. It might look like it's coming from a completely different person or company rather than your reputable company that they already know. So make sure it's part of a plan, not just kind of shotgun whenever you remember to do it. This is a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to caution it right now. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. This workshop is solely focused on social media advertising. but please don't look at all of these benefits of it and go, okay, all of my advertising is going to be social media. That's a recipe for disaster. You don't own these social media sites. They could go away at any time. They could completely change up how everything works. Um, and you might be competing with people in a different way you weren't expecting to. Social media should be one part of your overall advertising or marketing strategy. So absolutely use it. It's a great, fun, easy to control tool, but don't make it your entire marketing plan. And at the end of the day, you have control. If you're looking at your social media ads and you're like, I'm not getting anywhere, you have the ability to change it, whether that's who you're targeting, how you're crafting your message, how much you're paying, what times of day or what times of year you're running those ads. You have control of all of that. You're not locked into some advertising schedule where you have to pay and you have to run ads on this specific time. You can set it up however makes sense for you. So if you're unhappy with something, the power to change it is within your hands. So there's my basic tips. Let's get into a little bit more specific. When you hit that boost button on a post, and I will go into the tool so I can actually show you guys this, you get the option to choose from an audience. So you can either choose your followers and their friends, or you can use the standard audience selection tool. It's a targeting tool that lets you choose all of these categories. So you can choose gender, age, locations, and the locations is fun because you have some options there. You can choose exact zip codes. You can choose a radius around a zip code. You can choose a city. You can choose the entire state, or you can choose the entire country. Obviously, for a lot of your guys' businesses, the entire state or the entire country is a little too broad for you. But the reason why I really highlight that difference between exact zip codes and radius around a zip code is thinking about the broader repercussions. So I have some clients I will run ads for on Whidbey Island. And so I will pick the exact zip codes and I will list all of the zip codes for Whidbey Island. The reason I do that instead of a radius is we are on an island. If you do a 20-mile radius around Freeland, for example, you get the south end of Camano, which physically, yeah, it's within a 20-mile radius, but driving wise, that's a 2-hour trip, and South Camano is very unlikely to do it. So that is why I might choose exact zip codes rather than a radius. The flip side, I will also run ads in Seattle or Bellingham, and I will absolutely do a radius around it because there might be people that I still want to reach that just live just a little outside of Bellingham or a little outside of Seattle. But you can fiddle with that as you need to. You can also set up their interests. So you can specify job titles, you can specify family status, you can specify what kind of stuff they like to do. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a dead ringer for your business. Say I was advertising the wine tour, I might do obviously wine and spirits and food, but I would also maybe do interests such as international travel or shopping or, either no kids or adult kids, just because it's not a kid-friendly tour, and people who go on cruises and like to internationally travel and like shopping, they tend to have more spendable money, which is good for a thing like the wine tour. So you can expand the interests beyond exactly what you're doing, as long as people with those interests are more likely to be customers and spend money with you. You can also exclude people. So say I didn't specify no kids or adult kids, I could exclude, parents with young children, because again, it's not a super family friendly tour. Totally up to you whether you include or exclude people. And every time you add a new location, a new parameter such as an interest or exclude people, Facebook and Instagram have this little meter at the bottom of your ad setup that will change, and it will show you if it's too specific or too general or just right. Now take that meter with a little bit of a grain of sand or salt. I will sometimes ignore it when it tells me it's too specific because, for example, when I was running these workshops in person, they're really only accessible in person to folks on the south end. I have had people from farther away drive, but it's mainly going to appeal to people on the south end of Whidbey Island. And so I would run ads within that area. South Whidbey has a small population. There's just not as many people as if I was running an ad in Seattle or Bellingham. So sometimes on those ads, it will tell me, this is too specific. And I'll go, I don't care. I'm fine with it only showing it to 300 people. And see, Pam asks, is the amount of detail for inclusion exclusion, is that mostly for Facebook or do most allow for this? Facebook and Instagram do because they are on the same ad platform. I will admit I haven't used YouTube's ad platform very much, but I believe they let you set up interests. And then actually, I think they have more controls because they've had a lot of high public issues with ads. Twitter, however, I don't think they have let you have quite as much control. You do get to have some input on it, but they just don't have as much data on their users because you don't put as much personal information into Twitter as you do Facebook. But Facebook and Instagram absolutely give you this level of detail. And a lot of you might be sitting at home going, well, how does Facebook know who has small kids or, what if I like to internationally travel and drink wine? You tell Facebook that by using Facebook. Every time you're on Facebook and you like certain kinds of posts or you click on certain kinds of ads, or even when you go from Facebook to other websites, or Facebook has partnerships with a lot of companies and they get data from their website. So unfortunately, unless you don't really use the internet, use something like a VPN or browse on privacy mode all of the time, Facebook's collecting data on what you do, how you use the internet, and what kind of stuff you like constantly. So not going to argue with you. Yes, it's kind of creepy, but it's just the way the internet works. Literally everybody is doing this. Buying and selling data is, the big thing in macroeconomics these days. But I will say I do appreciate some of the benefits because it does let me see ads that are actually appealing to me. I'm not getting ads for baby clothes because I don't have babies and I don't care about those kind of ads. I am getting ads for, gaming chairs because clearly I'm interested in them, and I get ads for video games and different websites and stories and books because that's the things I'm interested in. So there's no way to make ads go away forever. So if I have to see ads, I would honestly rather see ads for small companies that I might actually be interested in supporting rather than, a million ads for Coca-Cola over and over again. So yeah, it can be creepy, but it's the way things are unless you just refuse to use the internet. So you might as well find a way to make it work for you. One other way to do audience selection that I did not mention is if you have a physical store, you can choose people in your local area. This is obviously a little less useful right now, unless you run like a restaurant or you have a delivery business that you're offering. But it will actually use people's geolocations if they have the location turned on their phone, so that within a certain radius around your business, if they're physically there, they'll get the ad. This is nice because then you can catch people who might be in the area who don't live here. So obviously things are different right now, but whenever we get back to tourist season, there are a lot of people who, if you set up, Whidbey Island zip codes, you wouldn't catch them because they don't live within those zip codes. But if you used people in your local area and they were visiting at the time you ran your ad, then you would catch them. So that is why people in your local area is an option. There's a lot of different kinds of ads. Facebook and Instagram offer you a carousel ad. So that is 2 or more scrollable images or videos. I'm sure you've all seen these kinds of ads where you have these tiles set up and you can flip between them for they either highlight different things or they're just different pictures of the same thing. You can run a single ad, which is one picture or one video right there, square on the ad, and then, the text either above or below it, depending on what platform you're on. You can run story ads. So if you haven't experimented with stories, these are the newer tools that all the social media sites are jumping on. It doesn't pop up in your regular main feed. It's right at the top when you're on your feed, and everybody's little profile circle is there. And if they have kind of a rainbow circle around it, that means they have a story. So if somebody clicks on that, the stories autoplay every 15 seconds. And your ads, if you run a story ad, will be mixed into that mix, whether or not they follow you. You can reach people through their stories, even if they don't follow you, if you run an ad. You can also, new Facebook and Instagram just added this, they have a poll ad. So you can set up a post as a poll. You can ask people, option A or B or ABC, and run that as an ad. So that's pretty fun. I haven't had a chance to get into it or use it, but I do like that they are adding different kinds of ads you can run. And obviously, you can always run a post ad as well. Just on the post you've already made, you can just click boost. But these are the kind of ads that they offer you to set up if you actually go in through the business center. And obviously, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube all offer video ads. On YouTube, you actually can only do a video ad. You have to have some sort of a video clip for them to run as a pre-roll or mid-roll ad. But if you can get into video is a lot of fun, and you can do a lot of unique and interesting things with it. So all of the major social media sites will let you run a video ad. So some best practices for you guys if you're looking to run an ad. Make sure you use the highest resolution image available. They require it to be a minimum of 500 pixels wide. The height dimension changes depending on what you're doing and what platform you're on, but it has to be a minimum of 500 pixels wide. That's not even that big, but I have had some clients send me pictures where it's too small and it's too pixelated and it's not going to work as an ad. However, there is no upper limit of size. So if you have a really big picture because you have a really high quality camera or you worked with a professional photographer, you can use, the highest resolution you've got, and Facebook will automatically downsize it, or Instagram, to what will fit on the platform. Make sure you use the highest quality picture you've got, because pixelated images that get really grainy, those do not perform well, and they might actually straight up reject your ad. They might not run it on their platform at all. You have to upload an image as a JPEG or a PNG. They don't take GIF files, or any other like TIFF files. There's a lot of file extensions, but your image, if you're going to upload it, has to be a JPEG or a PNG. That you can also upload a video as well, obviously. I think MP4 is the best video file. Facebook and Instagram do recommend a square aspect for most ads. So that means it is as tall as it is wide. Obviously, Facebook has more wiggle room, and Instagram, you can do wider ones and less short, but they really highly push the square aspect. So if you can get your ad framed as a perfect square, that will do the best for you. Or if you're doing a story, it has to be full screen. So this is 9:16. These are aspect proportions, so it has to be 9 units wide and 16 units tall. Pam asked, are iPhone photos generally high enough resolution? Depends on what generation of iPhone you have. If it's like 5 or newer, you're probably fine, but anything younger than the iPhone 5 does not do very well on pictures. But anything newer than the iPhone 5 takes high enough quality. The bigger issue would be if you took a big picture and then you cropped it because you're like, I only want this portion of it. That crop might be too small. But if you're using the standard raw picture that you took, that is absolutely usually big enough. Have little to no overlay text. So this means, I know a lot of you guys are so tempted to put words on your picture, just put them on top of the picture or do a colorful background with words. You cannot use those for your ads. Facebook actually has a very strict restriction policy where your ad can't be more than, I think it's either 20 or 30% words. This includes your logo. This includes any text you put in the picture. If it is more than 20 or 30% words, they have an algorithm that automatically looks at your image and calculates that, and they will reject it if it's too much text. Save the text for the body of the post. So in the description, do not put it in the image unless it's maybe 1 or 2 words. It's really important. So avoid words on your pictures. If you can, put people in your images. We as a human race really like to project ourselves into situations that we would like to be, walking down a pretty street in the sun, sitting in a restaurant, whatever it is your business does, people are far more engaging and appealing. So find people to put in your pictures, even if it's just a hand, if you're showing off some jewelry. If you can get a real human hand, wearing that thing, it is going to be a lot better of a picture than if you, just have it on a black backdrop sitting there or have it on like a dummy hand. So find a way to put people in your pictures. They have a lot more statistically success than no people. And make sure, this seems obvious, but I can't believe how many businesses skip it. Make sure you tell people what it is you want them to do in the ad itself. I've seen a lot of, cute pictures. I've seen a lot of funny pictures, and I go, oh, that's adorable, and I move on. But if it's shop now or get this for yourself or tell your friends, that makes me go, oh yeah, I should do something about this rather than just looking at it. So what is it that you want people to do in your ad? And it doesn't have to be buy now all the time. Your ad, you can definitely run an ad just to say, hey, come follow our page or sign up for our newsletter or donate to a different organization that's not even mine. You can run an ad for whatever it is you want, but it has to have some sort of action attached to it. What do you want people to actually do? And tell them that. So here are some example ads I wanted to show you guys. These are all from Instagram. And again, they all have people in them. The first one here from HTC is showing off their new camera and the pictures that it takes. Interesting, engaging shot. It's not just the phone on a backdrop. It's actually the phone out in use in this, nice, pretty cornfield. It's showing how clear that picture is. It's got the hand holding it. And as you can see, I'm on the second image of 3. So they had multiple photos. And this is a carousel ad. It's got the call to action right there. Learn more. Next one up is Laughing Bone. These shirts, they sell clothing and they actually donate a portion of the proceeds to dog charities. So they have this nice, funny shirt that you can buy. And it says right there, double tap if you dig this tea. That's the call to action. You like this post, but they also have the shop now button. And it does break the square aspect a little bit. It is a little longer, which is totally fine. But it includes people and it's got easy action and some more information down in the actual post itself. Next up is a travel one. Different app. They're not asking you to buy anything. They're just asking you to download their app. And so they're showing off. They have a little bit of text, but it's small and it's in the bottom corner. It doesn't take up that much of the overall image. And right there in the text, super easy to understand call to action. Hit the install now button. Super easy, understand, clear path, and you know exactly what it is they want you to do. Last up, I have a fun one from WAG, which is this one is actually a video. So it just runs continuously on a loop. As I mentioned, Facebook and Instagram do not allow you to upload GIF files. So you have to have the actual original video file that went into making a GIF if you want to do that. Instagram does auto loop them. Facebook does not. If this was a Facebook ad, it would play through once and then stop. So keep that in mind when you're building ads. It might work really well on one platform. It might not work very well at all on another. Same thing with doing videos from Facebook to an Instagram. If Instagram pretty much truncates videos at 1 minute. So if you have a really long video ad on Facebook that's explaining something really in depth or is really entertaining, it might not work super well on Instagram. You might want to set up a different ad just for Instagram that is a short clip of it. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but one of the exciting things is because Facebook owns Instagram, you can actually set up your ads for both through Facebook. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes typing things on my phone does not go as well as I want it to, and I get frustrated. I much prefer typing on my keyboard because I can do it faster. I can see a lot more things. So if you have an Instagram account, you can run an ad on Instagram, but set it up in Facebook's desktop app. So a lot easier that way. You can run them simultaneously on both platforms, or even if you wanted, you could be in Facebook's ad system and set up an Instagram ad that never even runs on your Facebook ad. You just set it up in Facebook. So that's the one fun thing about them being the same company. Here's some example Facebook ads. Super short, super to the point, not a lot of text. Obviously, you could get a lot more in depth with text on Facebook, but both of these don't. They get to the point. This first one from Shopify, one nice big image that asks a simple question: what's your next move? That's intriguing to me. That's appealing. Even though it doesn't have people, it's almost sort of a friendly challenge that I go, what am I going to do? So the text and the description aren't super descriptive on what this ad is about. That might be one thing I would change. However, they do get around it a little bit with the actual text in the link copy, which is that black box or the gray box below the picture. Right there, it says, build your store on Facebook. So there's an action and the sign up. If your page isn't set up to be titled like that and to show that sort of a description, I would maybe make sure you have that information, that call to action of, build your store on Facebook, sign up now, put that up in the body of your text if your website isn't set up to pull it like that. Next up is on the side here is actually a carousel ad. So Try the World actually had a number of boxes of their different around the world boxes that they were doing. And so there, when you actually hover over the ad, little arrows pop up on the side and you can click it and cycle through the images. But it's got, one description and the link. Sign up for this box, learn more. Tell people what it is you want them to do. Keep it simple, keep it nice, pretty, appealing, use high quality graphics, really engaging. As you can see with this Try the World ad, it does include people, it's just their hands. That's fine. If there's still people there, it's very easy for me to put myself in that picture of being able to picture me holding and accepting this box. So some closing tips, and then I'll actually go in and pull up the system so you can see it. And if you guys have any questions, please ask them away. But the graphic, whether that is your image or your video, is the most important element. Make it eye-catching. A lot of you, like me, I'm a wordsmith. I usually rely on words, but words are supplemental on social media. They're not the be-all, end-all. The graphic is. That's what people stop. They look at the image, and then if they're interested, they'll go back up or a little farther down to read the actual text of the post. But it is your image that is going to catch their attention. Make sure it's good. Because you need to keep it short, give them just a tease of what they'll get if they click it. Pique their interest. Give them enough that they're actually interested in learning more, that they want to click through. But don't make a big long post and give it all away in the post. Just give a little bit of a tease of what they'll see if they come through to your site or your store or whatever it is you want them to do. Make sure you target correctly, give the right message to the right audience. If you're trying to reach teenagers, Facebook's probably not the best place to do it. Maybe use Instagram or even a different tool. But even then, be careful. There are laws about advertising to minors, so cautious with that. If you're trying to talk to, seniors and you're trying to talk to parents with kids, those are different messages. Rather than trying to reach both of them at the exact same time, run separate simultaneous ads targeted to each of those groups with slight tweaks so that you're actually talking to that group rather than trying to talk to all of the groups at the same time. Use very little text, or at least make it intriguing before the read more. Facebook and Instagram tend to cut posts off after, I think, 140 characters into a ... read more. Because of that, if your big hook, if your big selling point is at the end of a paragraph of text, no one is going to see it. The hook needs to be at the beginning of the text so that if you do have more, they'll click on read more. But otherwise, they'll just click through to the site in general. Don't hold the hook back, deliver it right up front. Make sure you monitor and adjust as you go. Again, I said you can see in real time whether or not it is having the impact you want it to. If you're getting a ton of views and no click-throughs, figure out why. Figure out if something's broken or if you're not explaining something very well. Tweak it. You can cut ads off at any time. You don't have to run, if you ran an ad for a month and a weekend and you're unsatisfied with it, you can cut that ad there and run a different ad. Once you run an ad, you cannot change it. As soon as you boost something, you cannot change the text or the picture. So you have to stop it and do a different ad. But you can do those changes at any time. And the ultimate goal is to move them to a platform you control. You can do a lot of things through Facebook, but again, at the end of the day, you don't control Facebook. It could go away at any time. It could up their costs at any time. So to be successful, your end goal should be to get them to your website, onto your newsletter list, into your store, somewhere you can control the message so that even if Facebook or Instagram does go away tomorrow, you don't lose that avenue of connection with the customers you've built up. Erica asked how to do split post on Facebook, i.e. 2 paragraphs in a longer post. Facebook automatically truncates it after 140 characters, so you don't have to split it up necessarily. If you are trying to add more text, Facebook doesn't actually allow you to add line breaks in their ad editor. I would actually take it out into a Word document or a text file, add those line breaks yourself, and then copy and paste it over into your Facebook ad. That's how I would do it if you wanted paragraph breaks. So on that note, if I'm going to show you guys really quick in the 5 minutes we have left. Let's see, Pam asked, as you show us ads, can you include what they may cost depending on distribution choices, etc.? So I don't know if I've explained this very well. You get to decide how much ads cost. You get to decide if you're going to pay $5, if you're going to pay $50, if you're going to pay $100, if you're going to pay a couple $100. You get to decide how much money you're willing to pay and how long you want it to run. In exchange, Facebook will tell you, okay, cool, I will show it to this many people. If you don't like that number, you want it to be more people, at that point you can choose to pay more money or run it for a smaller amount of time, but you get to decide how much it costs. It's not like any other advertising where they tell you this is your cost amount. A lot of the ads I run, I will run for $20 boosts or $50 boosts. So the advertising you guys are probably familiar with is when you see this blue boost button right at the bottom of a post. If you click on that, it brings up your advertising. This one's not going to let me actually do it because I have a high proportion of text. My ad is over 50% text, so this isn't actually going to do very well. I can request a manual ad if I want, or a manual review if I like. And with the warning that, that's going to be delayed because of coronavirus. I can set up my goal of engagements or messages, or depending on what kind of a post it is, it can be view video, it can be sign up for a newsletter, it can be shop. Those goals on the boost button will change depending on what your post is about. You can change the button text so it can say learn more, have no button at all, book now, shop now, sign up, get directions, send messages. For this one, since it's the class one, I would probably change it to sign up because that's what I want people to do. And I would probably change the URL to, workshop specifically, so they don't go to the full website. The special ad category, you have to let Facebook know if it is an ad for anything regarding credit, anything involving employment, or anything with housing offers. You can, and here's where you can change your audience. So people who like your page, people who like your page and their friends, people in your local area, or the targeting here. And that's what I was talking about earlier, where you can set up gender, you can set up the age range, you can set up locations. It defaults to Washington State, but I can do specific zip codes, or I can do areas around an area, zip code. So if I do Langley, Washington, it automatically gives me a slider. I can do it as small as 10 miles around it. But as I said here, see, I've got South Camino, I've got Marysville, which might not be what I want. So that's why you might decide between one of these two, or you can have multiple. And then detailed targeting, it's got some suggestions here, but I can also start typing something. I do, parents. There we go. Parents demographic, parents with adult children, parents with teenagers, new parents, parents with toddlers, parents with preschool, parents magazine. There's all sorts of stuff. And if I start clicking stuff, these suggestions will change. And then this is that meter I was telling you where it will tell you if it's too specific or too broad. Erica, first off, your question of my Facebook doesn't look like yours at all. Why? I am beta testing the new layout. So your Facebook probably won't look like this. Your Facebook probably looks more like this. But a lot of the stuff is still in the same place. The change is coming now. Facebook always rolls out changes in waves. So the new layout will come to you eventually, and you can choose. I like the thing I like about the new Facebook layout is that you can choose between black or white, which is what I've done. I like the black. It's just easier on my eyes. So that's why I use new Facebook. So that's why mine looks different than yours probably does. But to answer your other questions, I get very few likes on my page. Should I put more personal posts on it? I would overall evaluate your entire strategy to see, what kind of posts you should be posting, what you should be talking about. I have an intro to Facebook a class. I did the crash course early this week. I did the full length class last week, forgot to record it. So I will be offering it again on May 6th. So I have some suggestions specifically for Facebook, but unfortunately we're about out of time, so I don't have time to get to it now. So if you're creating an ad, you got your targeting set up. You can choose the days. Like I said, you can go all the way down to 1 day. You can go up to, I think you can do it continuously. Or you could set up a specific end date if you want to do that instead. I use specific end dates very well for events. I will want it to run only until the day before the event. And then you can set up your budget. You can do as little as $1 per day. So if you're only running it for 1 day, your budget can be $1. If you're running it for 5 days, your budget has to be at least $5. Or you can do the sliders up to 1,000, but you can also type whatever you want. And I don't know if you guys have noticed over here on the side, as I've changed these, the number of people it'll reach, and the likely projected engagements of people actually interacting with the ad changes continuously over here on the side. So I can see I'm fine with reaching 295 people. That's fine. So I'm great with a $10 ad, or no, I want to reach more people, so I'm going to up it to $50. That number went up a lot. So once again, you get to decide how much money you're going to spend, and then you can decide where it's going to go. So do I want it to be in Facebook? Do I want it to be in Messenger? Do I want it to be on Instagram? And then you have to set up your payment as well. So that is what happens when you just click boost. But if you go to the business center, as I mentioned, it's business.facebook.com, I believe, or is it facebook.com/business? Let's double check. Yep. So business.facebook.com, you get to go into your business manager and actually set up your account. I'm going to go to Bayview Corners page just so you guys can see that. And then I can actually set up my ad account, which once again, it's just that button that said add. Gonna add it. Just number it. Oh, come on, cancel. Create a new ad account, sorry, that's what I wanted. So this one is gonna be Bayview Corner. Getting through this really quickly so I can actually show you guys what it looks like once you have it set up. Thinking about it. All right, and now I have all of these access. And turn on all my admin, obviously, and assign it to myself. So that's a lot of the setup, but now once I have it set up, I can actually come up here to these 9 boxes here, and I have an ads manager right here. So the ads manager actually gives you even more tools than just pushing boost does. So if I create an ad, let's see, what are you doing? Uh-oh, I seem to have glitched it a little bit. There we go. So now I can see, I can set up, do I want this ad to be for awareness? Do I want it to be for consideration? Do I want it to be for conversion? What do I actually want out of this? As you can see, there's a warning on store traffic. It's not available right now because you shouldn't be trying to get people into your store. So even if I just want people to be aware that my brand exists. I can do A/B tests so I can see what I'm considering 2 options, what's actually going to be more impactful. And then I can also optimize the budget so it'll use it based on all of the data that Facebook has on you, what's actually going to be effective. And then it'll actually walk you through setting up your audience, your placement, where do you want it to appear? You can do automatic placement, or you can manually choose, I want it to be only in these places. I want to spend this much money for this long. And then once you actually get into setting up your ad, now you can choose, what page do you want it to run from, or what Instagram account? Do you want to create an ad from scratch, or do you want to use an existing post? You can see here's the carousel option. Here's the single image or video. You can also create an instant experience with AR if you have that capability, but I don't believe any of you do. You can set up the media, explain the text here. Again, they actually do let you use page breaks in the ad center. So that's one way to do that if you want to do paragraph breaks. You can add a URL. You can change the background color of the stories. You can set what language it's in, and you can see this is what's going to look like on mobile, desktop, Messenger. I don't have a video obviously set up. Marketplace. I can see what it'll look like in the stories. I'll see what it looks like on Instagram. So it previews all of these options for you. As you can see, there's so much more information in here than what comes just from the boost. And so again, you just get to this section by going to business.facebook.com and then set up your ad account. So went a little bit over time and I dumped a whole lot of information on you guys really quickly. I apologize about that. But do you guys have any questions for me at all? Is there anything else I can show you while I have you here? I will be sending out the link for this video afterwards, as well as the slides. If you guys have questions, please let me know them. But otherwise, Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. I hope you get a little bit of time to relax. Um, but really, the only way to get good at social media ads is to try it. And of all of the advertising options out there in the world, it's one of the most affordable. You're not going to lose, tons and tons of dollars, thousands of dollars on a single campaign. You can do it very short. You can do a blitz, just a few people, a small window of time, a little bit of money, just to test and see if this is effective for you and what you can tweak to do better at it. So don't be afraid to try. It's not going to cost you that much money. So it's just give it a try. Doesn't seem like there's any other questions. So I'll go ahead and end this here. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you have